whenever there is bad weather at Big Cat Rescue, if the winds get up to 30 miles an hour, we lock the cats in their roof section. So some of our cats have big open air enclosures, and if a tree were to fall down, you can imagine if that great big tree right there were to fall up against the fence at a 45-degree angle, that would just make like a ladder out of the cage. So we don't want tigers running loose during a hurricane, and as a result we have roofed areas that the cats come into. They're not like zoo night houses. They're not locked in a windowless jail cell, but it's like the regular cages, just with a smaller area with a roof on it. And that's where Seth and Andy have ridden out Hurricane Irma. No, he's not drowning. This is his play yard, and he has access to a lake, so he's out there cooling off in the lake and really enjoying it. Andy came out and he walked around and went back to his roofed area, so apparently they don't find the roofed areas to be that obnoxious. I'm going to move on down the catwalk here and see if I can get you a little bit better angle. We are really short-handed here because we have to do all of the regular hurricane cleanup. So our operations manager, Catherine, and I were going around both of these enclosures. Andy has about a 1 acre enclosure and Seth has about 2 acres, and that's all surrounded by a huge fence, and we had to make sure that all of the debris was off of the cage walls and off of the hot wires, which meant climbing 16-foot high walls. So I am a little out of breath here. And now that I'm in the shade, I can see your comments, and we'll try to answer you as quickly as I can. If I missed your questions in the last few minutes, I see there's 1,000 first 5 or 6 words. So please type your question in again or copy and paste it. And we did pretty well during the hurricane. We only lost 2 big trees. One fell across one of our roads, landed short of our vacation rotation. The vacation rotation is a 2.5 acre enclosure where the other cats who don't have cages as cool as Andy and Seth, they can go out into the 2.5 acres where there is a pond, so they can swim like he is swimming, and the water's deeper than their head, so they can really get in some good swimming. Looks like Seth is enjoying some stick fetching because there's lots of sticks that fell into his water. So that big tree fell there. We lost a huge branch that came down on one of the serval enclosures. The serval is a white serval named Pharaoh, and he has about, most of our enclosures are 1,200 to 1,800 square feet, but some of our smaller cats have way more space than that because we have a lot of smaller cat cages back from the 90s when we did a lot of fur farm rescues. And so he has about 4 cages that are joined together, so he's probably got about 4,800 square feet. And in the side where the branch fell on the cage, it crushed the edge of the cage because our cages are rounded, so it kind of crushed it down like you would expect a Coke can to be crushed. But you coming toward me now? Are you an alligator? Oh, more sticks. But it didn't breach the cage, so there was no chance of him escaping, thankfully. And you would have thought that that would have scared him pretty badly, because that would have been a really loud crash as it came down on his cage. And of all the places in his enclosure that he could have been hanging out when we went out the next morning to check, there he was, laying in the side with the branch down, just looking at it. And then the other really big tree that went down was over between Moses and Bailey and Running Bear and Little White Dove. Those are all bobcats, and the tree is in between those cages, and it fell down on our gift shop. So it rendered our tour waiting area useless. We can't take people in there because the awnings all collapsed in the back. So today we are actually getting back on schedule with tours, and we're having to take people out a different way because we can't take them through that area. So that's going to be a lot of cleanup. You guys can help us if you'd like. Clean up from the last hurricane and prepare for the next one, because we understand that there is likely to be a really wicked storm season this year. And a real easy way to do that is to text the number 52886, and on your phone you can go to 52886 and then type in the word CAT FUND, all one word, CAT FUND, and data and messaging rates may apply. And it's not one of those things where it automatically donates a certain amount. It'll take you to a link, and then you can pick what amount you want to donate if you want to donate. So that would be lovely if you guys could help us out a bit. We have 70 exotic cats here, and they all did very well during the storm. We were very sad this morning, though. We have a serval caracal hybrid. His name is Jojo, and if you guys followed us on Facebook, you've seen Jojo a lot. And this morning he was down in his cage, and so he was rushed to the vet, but they said that his little heart was just giving out on him, and he had to be euthanized because there's nothing you can do for a bad heart in a, I think he was a 13 or 14-year-old cat. And we're going to do a necropsy, but we expect that the reason for that is because he was a cross between a serval and a caracal, and crossbreeding exotic cats is just a terrible, terrible thing to do. They end up with all kinds of birth defects. And my suspicion is that his bad heart was a part of that crossbreeding. So please, when people post pictures of ligers or tigons or caravels or any other hybrid species of exotic cats, don't share those. Don't comment on how cute or how unique they are, because that just encourages more people to breed them, and they all suffer from horrible birth defects. So please, please help us end the private possession of these cats, and you can do that over at bigcatact.com. I see some messages here in Spanish. I really wish I could speak Spanish. I would love to learn how to speak Spanish. I even bought Rosetta Stone so that I could learn how to speak Spanish, and I just have not had the time to use it. Yes, for those of you who are just now joining, this is not a tiger drowning in Florida after the hurricane. This is a tiger enjoying his lakefront property after the hurricane. Damage here, and just last night I stayed here at the sanctuary until about 10:30 last night so that I could post a video for you guys that was the actual in the middle of the storm. We were going out every 2 hours and circling the property in a truck to make sure that nobody had escaped and nobody was in peril. And so it was, as you watch it, starting at 7 o'clock and then 9 o'clock and then 11 o'clock, it just gets scarier and scarier as the winds were picking up and the rains were blowing at a 45-degree angle and stinging us in the eyes, and stuff was starting to fly around, and it was really, really harrowing. So it's an hour-long video, but it's an hour of just like being there with us, because we wanted all of our fans on Facebook to be able to go along with us and see that the cats that they love were all doing fine. And we also wanted to be able to preserve that so that in future years, people who are thinking they're going to ride out a storm, that was only a Category 1 by the time it hit Florida, or by the time it hit Tampa, which meant winds of about 85 miles an hour, as compared to when it hit down at Marco Island with 130-mile-an-hour winds. You're just so happy to be there. You're being awful still. I thought there would be a whole lot more moving around, because the enclosures where they have been locked up during the storm are probably only, I don't know, maybe 900 square feet, maybe smaller than that, maybe 700. And they've just been so anxious to go out that I was really hoping that you guys would get quite a show. Maybe he's going to play with his keg. It's Peg the Keg. Oh, did she scare you? Did a fish get you? I saw somebody asking how we plan to rescue him. He doesn't need rescuing. That's his enclosure up there. He can walk right up the bank. He is doing just fine. He's just playing. Oh, I don't know if I said it, but the page where all the videos and photos from Hurricane Irma are at bigcatrescue.org/Irma. bigcatrescue.org/Irma. What you watching? I'm gonna spin around slowly here so that you guys can see his enclosure. So Andy is on that side of the fence, the other side of that fence in the water, and Andy is way back in the back in his den. And then Seth is on this side. And you can read all of the cat stories at Big Cat Rescue. Just go to bigcatrescue.org/catbio. So this is Seth's cage. And I'm standing up here on a catwalk. And then this is a view of the rest of the sanctuary from up on the catwalk. Over on the left there is Cameron and Zabu. It's a white tiger and a lion who were raised together. We would not have done that. In fact, we spayed and neutered them as soon as they got here to make sure they didn't have cubs. And then if you see the fence down there, between the two cages, on the other side of that is Kali Tiger. And then at the far end of the lake, there are 6 enclosures, and I think 4 cats over there, or maybe 3. The first one is Priya. The next one is Sapphire. I can just barely see her from here. She's a white tiger. And then the next one is Hoover. So each of those cats has 2 cages. And then up here on the right-hand side of the lake is Max and Marianne. And across that little canopied area over there is the kitten cabana. And there are live webcams all over Big Cat Rescue. Some of them are still down from the storm, but the ones that are working are the Tiger Lake, which is right here. You can watch you can watch Seth and Andy.
Why are you going backwards?
And you can watch the kittens in the kitten cabana. And Seth is stalking his keepers who are getting ready to clean his cage.
What are you doing? You're so silly. What you doing, big boy?
He splashed me the other day. I mean, just
Really?
absolutely soaked me because I was coming down through there and he came up out of the water.
Yes, that's exactly what he wants to do.
That was so much fun, huh?
You going back in? No, I thought a scratch on here on this tree. You are so sweet. Because Carol's watching me, so I'm going to make myself real cute. As if he couldn't be real cute. And then I'm going to shake my fur. And those will come back. Oh. Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to get us.
Well,
Can we get out here?
they're going to go clean, and looks like that's it for Seth. Thank you everybody for joining us over here on the Dodo. A huge shout out to the Dodo for being so kind as to share Big Cat Rescue with all of you guys. I really, really appreciate it. You guys have been so wonderful to us. Oh, I heard a big splash over there. I thought maybe Andy had come down to the water, but I guess that was a turtle. He has lots of sticks to go in there and play with. You're not very good at stalking.
No, that's not very quiet.
They are on the outside of the cage. We never go in the cages with the cats, and we don't touch them because that just sends the wrong message. These guys are not pets. And they don't belong in cages. Oh, there's so much cool stuff to do after being locked up for so long. to figure out the best way back into the water. All right, everyone. Bye-bye. We got lots of